What's going on, everyone? So, yesterday there was an article that came up, and actually there's been a few, and Ted Price actually spoke. And then it makes sense because we're going to get to why he stepped down too, which it makes sense also too. He's been there a while, but it was the perfect time to do that. Resistance 4 was actually pitched by Insomniac to Sony, but they turned it down. I wonder who was the one that turned it down. Can we think about that? Jim Ryan. Hmm. And whoever was at the top. Maybe he didn't have anything to do with that because they were in California, but I'm going to go ahead and say Jim Ryan, right? Because that actually makes sense since they want to put them all on gas rush. They already had the Spider-Man game, multiplayer game canceled, right? The DLC got canceled also as well, and then they're just not making the money they want to make. But out of all the games and franchises, you would think, definitely with Sony trying to be super Western uh, and having an imbalance of Japanese games, which there used to be a good balance, you would think that they would not turn that down. And I've had this liked since that time. I also got another one too. But if we think about some of the PS3 games, this is one of the ones people would have wanted. You have a whole entire trilogy here, and you have the sequel. You could have had a remaster collection going, right? You know what I mean? But instead, all those moves that they made, they canceled all those live service dumpster fire games, and people are not getting anything. There could have been a Resistance trilogy and Resistance 4 could have been having gameplay trailers shown this year. Could have had multiplayer going with that. Could have had your own cosmetics. It didn't have to be a service game, right? You know what I mean? Stop trying to chase those trends and just do what you do, right? Because the way that PlayStation started succeeding, the way they've always been succeeding, was obviously locking games there, but having strong third-party games and good single-player exclusives, some with multiplayer, right? You don't like throw yourself way off the rail and put everything else on something else when you're the soul of your company was those aspects I just named. Everything they're supposed to be doing, Microsoft is doing now. And now Sony is behind, except on the hardware department. That's it. That's their saving grace. Think about it. If Microsoft wouldn't have messed up the Xbox One era, they would be in huge trouble right now. Big time. They already are in trouble, but not to the degree against Xbox because of the hardware aspect, because that's what they do anyways, being a hardware manufacturer. But if Microsoft was closer, oh my God, in a hardware sense, because they're doing better to me in other categories, Sony would be in trouble big time. But they also had the opportunity to capture a window in the past 2.5 to 3 years where they could have completely had a legendary generation, but they messed it all up. And now Nintendo's around the corner. Xbox is having a huge turnaround in the past 10 years. PC gaming is getting better. Um, and now we see that there are some shakeups going on with the position changes over in Japan and over here as well too. Japanese leadership is getting back more on board, which I think is needed. And we saw the firings going on yesterday in California. Let's talk about that, right? So, Resistance 4. We're going to go to the article, but we're going to look at this real quick. Insomniac Games' Ted Price announces retirement after 3 decades. Thank you for 30 wonderful years. He said right here, I'd like to start this blog by acknowledging how difficult things have been for our team members and our players in Los Angeles over the past several weeks. That's where the firings were happening. He pitched this, by the way. Let's go to the article. Resistance 4 was pitched by Insomniac. Here we go. Insomniac Games wanted to develop Resistance 4, but PlayStation turned it down. That's according to soon-to-be president of Insomniac Games, Ted Price. He said right here. He's the one that supposedly retired. I think he left for a certain reason. He didn't like the direction things were going. And this is a nice guy, too. Very nice guy. But why was he rejected that? In a new interview with Kind of Funny Games, Price was asked about a favorite game of his that was pitched but never greenlit. He brought us many great games from Insomniac. Yeah, I'll share one, Price said after a brief pause. Resistance 4, he continued. We did pitch that one, and it was a wonderful concept. If I was some PS users right now, PlayStation users, I would be a little bit tilted about this. And it just, in terms of timing and market opportunity, didn't work out. But it was the result of a lot of Insomniac team members being passionate about extending the story further, because I do believe that Resistance has set up a really cool alternative history base where anything can happen with the Chimera and where they go and what their origins are. They didn't say remaster, y'all. They said a damn full-blown next-gen sequel. Price said that they spent a lot of time working on backstory and brainstorming on where the series can go in the future. Just like they turned down Days Gone 2, right? Whose fault is this, y'all? This is Sony's fault. Personally, I love the franchise, he said. I was fortunate enough to be creative director on the first two Resistance, which were the best ones. I felt like 3 was kind of a bit of a downfall, but it still was good, though. It makes sense that he was there. So not only was he the leader of the company, but he got involved in his games. Ted Price, that's why they needed to have 3 people take his position. But they still can't replace him. And I will remember many, many moments, good and bad, when it comes to development that taught us all a lot about how we can elevate ourselves under some pretty difficult situations. I get what he's saying. Resistance, which first debuted with 2006's Resistance Fall of Man. Remember, that was a PS3 launch title, and it did phenomenal. People were loving it. Hasn't seen a mainline game since 2011. 14 years now, y'all. Price said that there's no answer to the question of if the studio will ever develop another Resistance game, but something he hopes will happen in the future. What do you think of Price and Insomniac wanting to develop Resistance 4? Let us know down below. So, there's that, right? Guys. Could have had a Killzone remake. Resistance. Right? Next Gen Infamous doesn't exist since PS4 era, right? I just gave you 3 games they could have done. You could have had the next Infamous coming right now. You could have had Naughty Dog's IP coming, but they got canceled. Last of Us Factions, right? Another live service game that got canceled. You could have had Blue Point remakes, Next Gen remake. That's 6 games I just named right there. The team that was doing the God of War remake, right? And instead of Concord, you could have had something else. Like, yeah, I don't understand how Sony fanboys are still trying to gas on. It's like, what are you bragging about? There's nothing to brag about. Now, every Sony game I want seems to get turned down, and instead we get 15 live service games nobody wants, and then we'll get canceled, and they all get canceled, and devs waste 3 years. At least Xbox games will prop up PlayStation 5 this year. Hunter said that. Damn, you PlayStation, get rid of who said no. LOL. Code Eastwood even commented, bro, seriously, Resistance was legendary. What am I saying? Insomniac met some Resistance. Probably didn't have enough live service features in it. Goddamn, Sony, I would have loved Resistance 4 if you didn't waste time with those live service games. See, everybody's saying the same thing. Like, these are people that are actually being honest in the PlayStation spectrum, right? Twisted Metal, that could have been there. Turn that down. Another interesting choice by Sony. No, bro, another terrible choice. Here comes this retard. He's another brain dead pony, by the way. He likes to like say dumb stuff and thinks that he's smart, but he's just dumb as hell. Just letting you guys know, I talked with the idiot. He's not that smart. So yeah, we see F, no, yay, frown. We will never forgive them. Honestly, worst part about it is that PlayStation probably turned this down, but approved, then canceled all those live service games. Wow, Resistance 3 was, but that's just Resistance 3. They could have fixed that, and Ted Price wanted to get involved in that. Just because he did 1 and 2, he wasn't in 3. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, it was a little bit of a downfall, but that doesn't mean that would have happened with Resistance 4, with him being involved. Of course they did. PlayStation seems to be up its own ass the last few years. A lot of people are saying that. Now, let's go see what Alex has to say about this. I'll go ahead and give him a like.
Better, I don't mean good, I mean actually worse. Check this out. Because PlayStation was in fact pitched Resistance 4 by Insomniac, and it was turned down. Oh, I'm sorry. Was it not another Horizon game with a different bow that you couldn't sell to 1 billion people having the most boring, bland gameplay ever? Could you not sit in a bush and wait for an icon to disappear over your head and then do the exact same takedown you would do in every single Sony game every time? It was a different perspective. Oh, we can't have first-person perspective games on PlayStation, apparently. No! Why would we ever want something like that? New or different. Aha! Yes, let's turn down Resistance 4, which could have been a great return to form or even a reboot of Resistance in the first place, to then possibly have a different kind of game in their catalog instead of being the same Toy Poison cover-based action-adventure game with the stealth elements. I'm so sick of it, bro, because you know Wolverine is going to be the exact same thing, down to the letter, to the T, the exact same kind of like, let me talk to myself as I climb over this specific sort of rubble in the actual area, trying to get past a different area and zone.
Glowing lights. This must be the scene in space. It's like they
No, and he's absolutely right, because when you look at all Sony games, they're all the same. Then you start to see the little support protagonists being added in on all their third person types games. It's always the cinematic zoom in rush, get up in the cover, same little scene leading up, same little dudes loading in. Like you can see this kind of like programming pattern coming in. It's the same exact thing over and over again. Accessibility, the character talking to help you solve the puzzle. Like it is that same cinematic zoom in, movie rush over and over and over again. And people get comfortable with it and they like it. It's like this comfortable feeling that you have of seeing the same movie come in front of you, but through different disguises, and you just get that same comfortable feeling. And they do get that comfortable feeling, and you go through it, but it's not really anything new underneath. If you look underneath the surface, he's telling you the patterns underneath the surface. And it is like that with the same little narrative aspect going on over and over again, with the same little like come up, hit the stealth, triangle button, assassinate them, get back in that little thing, hide in the little thing. It's the same thing over and over again. Ubisoft does it too. You could see it, like, but there's people that just play games, definitely like ponies. They don't see that, like, because they're not really seeing behind the scenes and seeing underneath it. It's the same thing over and over again, sugar-coated differently. And it is. And if they get outside that pattern, they kind of feel like they won't get the same success. And then they money hat things, get the same reviews, try to get the Game of the Year awards, but it's like, I kind of feel like it's a little bit played out, but you do see it. And when they did have a certain change, it was Astrobot, but guess what? Nintendo already made 80% of the game. And that's still a good game, you know what I mean? Because I love my platformers, but it ain't no Mario Odyssey. It ain't no Mario Galaxy. I'm telling you. Those games got like 70, 80 hours of amazing innovation, creativity, and fun at the highest degree. Astrobot is like 10 hours. You know what I mean? Nothing to take away from it, but it's pretty obvious that, you know, it was a snub. They're not going to give it best direction over games like Rebirth, Metaphor. When you see what it takes to direct every scene with all those voice acting, all those creatures, Astrobot, he doesn't talk or anything. Like the amount of direction, writing at the highest degree with music scenes, and when you think about a Final Fantasy game, for 60, 70 straight hours of directing on all those different facets, how much skill that takes, and you're going to give that best direction too. Like that's when you start to realize that Geoff Keighley is just a Sony ass licker, and that it's just the Hollywood nonsense again, where you're just selling your soul to get something, but it's hollow because you really deep down know you didn't deserve that, and you robbed somebody that actually really deserved that. Just saying, it actually really made that game, and it's not a 80% Mario. But yeah, that's the thing that I just can't stand in the industry, all that fake stuff. Like, let's get back to gaming and get away from all that garbage.
they're running the entire place. Of course, they'd make their base on their own private island. Hold on, Beta.
Ah, yes. What a great set of gameplay. Oh, another QuickTime event. Everybody press X. Oh, boy. Thrilling and riveting. It's just so frustrating to see that so many game developers and publishers are doing this kind of thing, that they're sitting there turning down games that could have been a good B+ game that could have sold a couple million copies. One or two isn't that bad if they would have budgeted the actual process and project correctly. But no, every game has to be $500 million Concord failure plus, I guess. Isn't that a great idea? Why not just reduce the budget of what you were going to be looking for in Resistance, have a proper team work on it on the side, and then put the game out as a B+ game? It may not win Game of the Year, but goddamn, selling 1 million copies is better than selling 0.
Yeah.
It's
Nintendo are masters at doing that. They'll make a game that don't even cost 70 million and they'll sell 20 million and the whole world will love it. That's real development right there. Problem with them is they're trying to make too many movies. They over focus on hyper details. When you could take all that, spend way less money on over focusing on these hyper detailed Western movies, and create way more content, way more gameplay, way more DLC, right? Have a full-fledged package. Like when they would launch Last of Us, it would be Last of Us single player, multiplayer, and zombie horde mode online with way more content, rather than having to make it look all this good and you spend all this money on the cinematic details. Then people are done with it in 5 or 6 days, where they could be playing it for months. Like that's what I want to show. Like it's like that balance. Like if you look at the Nintendo spectrum, Their balance is absolutely perfect. Microsoft is learning from that too. Um, that's what it's about because people are not playing games for graphics. They're playing it because they're just having fun. They consistently keep getting on and playing it over and over and over again. That's why people play games like Minecraft a lot, League of Legends, Call of Duty, Pokemon, Mario. It's timeless. Still go play Mario from the 80s or 90s. It's a timeless evergreen formula. Very good formula. Very good replay value, right? Story matters too, but people are picking up to play. You just need game play, right? Replay value, meaning I can keep playing it and keep getting on. I have a good amount of content. I have good direction. I'm enjoying the world building. You know what I mean? Not like spending so much money on things that are not gameplay oriented so they can look this good. It's like everything looks good now. Focus on what really matters and remember what the heart of gaming is. But they don't. The problem right now. All this movie nonsense.
It's the most infuriatingly frustrating thing ever because now Warner Brothers is also doing something totally. According to Tom Henderson on Twitter, the Wonder Woman game is years away from release as the Warner Brothers gaming division in fact struggles. Tom in fact continues by saying Wonder Woman has apparently cost $100 million to develop and in fact has been rebooted. It is mind-boggling that no one over there seems to realize that at these costs and 3 to 4 more years of development time, it's already going to be a financial loss. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Movie, making it like a movie, getting into like putting all the details right there. Oh, we don't know what to do now. We're kind of lost. We have no direction. Let's just overfocus on details again. Oh, we spent $100 million. Let's just delay it 3 to 4 more years. You're going to spend another $100 million? Then it's going to fail in a month, and then you're going to lose all that money? Like, they're dumb. Like, it's like, I swear, these are people that do not know how to make video games. Whoever these individuals are. Because the people that made the Arkham series knew how to make a video game. Batman Arkham series, y'all remember that? Fucking amazing. Love that series. It was so good. What happened to that Rocksteady? What happened to that Warner Brothers section? Then we see stuff like Suicide Squad and all that other garbage. It's like, you could tell, like, when you have that type of trouble on behind the scenes and you see it's not manifesting the way it manifested before, that the same individuals are not there. Something happened behind the scenes. I guarantee you, it's something that's non-gaming related. What it's going to happen because we've already sunk in $100 million. Not we, Warner Brothers has put in $100 million into Wonder Woman for literally nothing to come out for all these years. So now wait another 3 to 4 years for the game to come out, spending around Concord $400 million, probably more than likely, to then go ahead and shove it into the actual trash.
That's what I was just saying. Because stuff like that does happen, or cancel it. And then they're sitting there and they got to figure out what they want to do again. And they try to look for a one-hit wonder because they feel like something is bad. And that's what Sony was trying to do. You see what I mean? Like, so it's like, just don't do that. Find a balance of trying it every once in a while where everything else is going well. You know what I mean? But they don't do that. It's like, somehow you feel like something retarded has entered the gaming industry. And it's just trying to make it generic and soulless and trash it into the ground. Like, it just took the soul out of it. Not everywhere, but I think we get the idea here. That's why a lot of people are going back to older games, right? Even though there's still amazing games coming out, but there's too much trash and too many mistakes happening, definitely in Western society. Gotta love Japan, because, you know, they don't have that many problems like that. But just too many problems happen over here. We're just like, what the hell, man? What the hell's going on here? Things need to be adjusted, like big time. So, that's kind of what I want to talk about. Let me know what you guys think about Resistance and about just the whole slate of this. Because it is something I feel like we needed to talk about. And don't worry, we got some more entertainment videos too. So, yeah, got to find that balance like we were talking about. All right, y'all. Peace out. Have a great day. Good adding, Alex, as always.